Hi, everyone. We're here today with Brian Hauenstein, who is the owner of Oasis Senior Advisors of Grand Rapids, serving seniors, their families, and advocates. Hello, Brian, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Good afternoon, Willow, and thanks for inviting me.
I'm so excited to share with our audience what what is Oasis exactly, and how does it serve our community?
Well, yeah, so we're actually a franchise that covers about 48 states here, the 48 contiguous states, about 150 plus franchisees strong. So we serve every major metropolitan area, which I'll talk about in a little bit why that benefits the people that we serve. But we, in particular, here in Grand Rapids, serve you say seniors, their families, anybody that is either thinking about or has hit that pivotal point in their lives where, boy, it's no longer safe to be living at home alone by myself in a risky environment. And I need advice. I need somebody to tell me what are my options. And so, our primary focus in this market is to help people transition into senior living. But I caveat that with a but because that is not where we stop. If you come to us and you say, boy, I just really love living in my home, and how can I continue to do that? That is going to be our mission. We're going to figure out how we can either get care in your home or just make that a safer living environment for you by reaching out to the resources in our market to help bridge that gap.
Wow, that's beautiful. I don't know that there's a lot of services out there that actually take the clients or the seniors' desires into account and really care about their entire experience and will actually help them in their own home. So I really appreciate and value, and if I'm understanding you correctly, that you really sit down with the families, the senior, and say, okay, what do you want? And then you do your best to make that happen.
That's right. So I think many of the people that serve the market in a similar space to us are working on getting them into a senior living environment. We're really listening to every holistic need that they have a desire for, whether, it's I'm looking for a place that is just safe for me to be in. I don't need any care assistance. Or my religion is very important to me, and I want to make sure that whatever community I go into has a very strong Catholic foundation. We will look for those nuances based on what we know about the marketplace and really find the best fit for them based on their finances, based on their family needs. Um, if they need to be close to a family member so that they can visit them frequently. Maybe they have a pet that they need to have cared for. We even have a service now that is going in play that will come out and do a home visit, a senior living community visit to your pet so that you don't have to go out with your pet. It's amazing the kind of services that are right here in West Michigan. And I often say, and I tell the other franchisees that I meet with across the country, we have probably the most structurally sound foundation for a senior to live in the Grand Rapids market. Great services like senior neighbors, senior community programs like Northview Senior Center, Meals on Wheels, which a lot of communities have, but there's just so many deep and loving organizations that can provide assistance here in Grand Rapids. So it's a wonderful place to grow old.
Wow. So yeah, you are. If I'm understanding you and hearing you correctly and summarizing what you just said, you not only go above and beyond to make sure that they are in the space that they desire and that you help create that with safety, but you also connect them and network with multiple organizations to be able to assist them in all of their needs once they are there and through the transition and whatever comes next.
Yeah, so I'll give you a good example. It's always, I think, best to give people examples because then it puts it in kind of a real world situation, right?
Mhm.
So I had somebody recommend a gentleman to me. His wife was going through a series of chemotherapy. They're both elderly. It's taking a toll on both of them. She's very weak. He can't really assist. He doesn't have the balance anymore. So we worked on several things, but he was interested in looking at senior living, but didn't want to dive in completely on that prospect. So what we did was he and I went out, we figured out which communities they could afford, what they were most interested in. We looked at all the communities, all three of them, and he said, I'm just not, this is not the time to do this. I do She wants to remain at home. I said, that's great. Let's figure out how to make your home a safe home. And they sleep on the second level, which is a problem because they're both having balance issues. We had the home assessed by a a company that goes in and does the assessment and then can provide the wherewithal to install necessary equipment. They decided that a chairlift was the right way to go for them to reach their bedroom. They did that. She started to get a little bit better. They're in a much better place now. They're very happy with the decisions that they made, and so that just kind of gives you an idea of how we're there to support them. And they know that if they get to another level where they've got to maybe get in-home help or they need to take a more serious look at senior living, we can jump in and help. And of course, all along through the process, we're asking them, key questions that really help us to guide them in a better way. Right? If they have a blank stare and they don't know what a power of attorney is, we know they need help beyond what we can provide there. So go ahead.
Well, that broke up a little bit when you said that, but when you said power of attorney, then I think that answered my question, and I wanted to make sure that we all got that little tidbit because there was a glitch. So the power of attorney, wow, that's awesome. So you actually go out and explore with them too, because I know that being able to see and experience things shifts everything. What a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. So given what you just said, when should people actually reach out to you? How long does that process take? Like what's the best time to reach you?
So I would say, once you've retired and you think that you could possibly at least entertain the idea of a senior living community, that's the right time. People that are happiest in, I would call it a continuum of care, which is independent living. They offer assisted living, possibly memory care, and skilled nursing all within one organization. Those people tend to thrive the best because more often than not, they're more of an extrovert as well, and they want that community engagement. They want those, bus trips out to, the local gardens or whatever it might be, or lunch outings, or poetry readings, or whatever it is. And there's so many different activities out there. Those are the people that are probably happiest in the process because they do the homework. I might talk to, I have a number of people that I serve on an ongoing basis that are thinking maybe 3 to 5 years out that they're ready for the move. And so they meet with me. We tour the communities they want to tour. They get on a list and they wait for their name to come up on that list. And maybe 3 years down the road, they're called and they might say, well, we're not quite ready yet, but they know that they're up at the top of the list. So it might happen again. They'll get a call in 6 months and maybe they're ready to go then because they've downsized and they're prepared to sell their home at that point. So I would say, I don't want to say it's never too early because I'm 56 and I probably don't need to start looking yet. But I would say once you're retired and you want an easier lifestyle, maybe you raised a family of a bunch of kids in your house and you've got all this extra space that you don't need. And why have this giant house anymore? It's either time to downsize into a smaller house or apartment or to consider senior living. And if you're 55 plus, you can get into senior living.
Okay. That's so about once. Okay. That helps me. Sorry. Thank you. I'm thinking about what you just said and thinking about my own life too. And
Yes,
to
that's what
process,
happens.
I'm like, I get
Yeah.
stuck. But yeah, so the best time to reach out to you is when someone retires, not when they're ready. And then why is it important that people seek out a senior living advisor versus do this on their own?
Yeah, well, it can be dangerous, number one, doing it, through like a web search, because then your information is basically pushed out to any senior living community where that service on the other end has an agreement. So let's say you fill out your information online, and the next day, the next few weeks, you're just absolutely bombarded with 20 or 30 different communities saying, "Are you ready yet? Come on in for a tour." They don't know anything about you other than a couple data points, and you're on your own. Okay. I would say that the two best ways to look for a community are to use a service like ours. And I'm a little biased. I think ours is the best. But number two, probably talk to your friends, because your friends, the people that you hang with, and if they're living in a community that they absolutely love and they have a similar sort of lifestyle to yours and personality, then maybe that community might be a good fit for you. But we can help, navigate that. The benefit to using an organization like mine is the fact that we're not going to show you, maybe your closest friends live at a place like Beacon Hill here in Grand Rapids. That's a very high end community. If you can't afford that, we're going to be able to figure that out up front so that we don't waste your time bringing you in, getting you all excited about it, only to get you deflated when you find out that you don't have enough bank in order to make that happen. So we're really, we're doing a financial assessment as well along the way. And I should call out here at some point that we are an entirely free service. We don't charge the consumer anything, and we get compensated based on whether or not you decide you're going to place into a community, and that community will compensate us for that.
Wow,
And then
that's great.
I was going to talk about the fact that we are a national organization could be beneficial, and I'll just give you some
Mhm.
examples of how that might help. We've had clients where maybe they winter in Florida, and or they have a home in Florida, and the kids live here, and we need to get them back to where the kids live, so we can coordinate that effort with our franchise in the Florida markets. Or if they want to move into a place in Florida, we can coordinate that. So we like to refer to our organization as one call with many solutions, so that you're not having to pick up the phone and call 30 different organizations trying to figure out how to navigate it all.
This actually sounds like a no-brainer to me. If the fact that you don't charge for your services and that you have a national network, like what I heard beyond what you shared with me about how it's a benefit working with your company is that you one have a personal relationship with most of the services here in Grand Rapids, and so your expertise, experience, and relationships will help better guide them, saving them both time and resources in the exploration process. And you also have national networks, and so depending on what their needs are, or if their needs change during the time period that you're working with them, you can also assist them in multiple states and be able to connect them and meet their needs in areas above and beyond what they even knew were possible for themselves.
That's exactly right. Yep, you summarized that very well, Willow.
Thank you.
I just need to put your brain into every other brain that I work with.
Well, now we'll have this recording.
Yeah.
What is your specific coverage area?
So I own what is considered Greater Grand Rapids, and it's a bunch of zip codes that I'm not going to rattle off here. But I would say that to the person that's watching this, we cover Kent County. We own Kent County, and since there is no franchise owner to the north or south of us, we can serve areas all the way up, Traverse City, Gaylord, wherever, all the way down to Kalamazoo markets. We do have other franchise owners on the lakeshore and then over in Lansing and beyond Lansing.
And if someone's watching this and they're not in Michigan but would be interested in that kind of care, where would they look? If or into another franchise, or could they? Because you can't help people or assist people outside of this area, or can you?
Well, I can. So sometimes I might get calls from somebody that's outside my market in another franchise, and I would just collect their information and pass that on to the appropriate franchisee. Or they could just simply go to oasissenior.advisors.com, and that will help them navigate to the appropriate senior advisor.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that. Um,
Yeah.
once a loved one has if they have a long-term care plan with you, do they need to reach out to you for any additional support?
Yeah, so it really depends on the individual, and people often ask me, once I've found a new community for them, okay, well, when can we talk again? I think that, we develop this wonderful relationship and they kind of feel like, oh, we're cut off. That is not the case. We are here to act as counsel for them well beyond. And, if they want to consult with us on a hospice company or palliative care or a funeral home or any direction in that regard, we have great resources all the way through end of life. So I would say, reach out to us anytime. Often when we place a family member, we're back in that community checking on them in about 6 months or 6 weeks, I should say, to make sure that they've adapted well. And we'd like to hear back, not only because we want to make sure that they're happy, but because that's the best way for us to stay in contact with how are they taking care of those that they serve in that community. And no better than to hear it directly from the person that's either living there or their family member. Are they happy? Right?
That's beautiful that you care enough to check in and make sure that they're happy and check on and see what other needs that they need, or where they are in the process. That's fantastic. And the family too. Um, sorry, I'm thinking of this and figuring out how to actually ask it. Once you start working with a family, how does that there's got to be a ripple effect on the family members from the senior care and all of the offerings. And I'm curious of what your feedback is and how. I'm sure you get a lot of thank yous, and because it creates so much of a peace of mind for the family knowing how detailed and intense your care is. And so I would love to hear a little of the feedback or testimonials from people that you hear, because you really explore details that a lot of people don't even comprehend are things to think about until it's too late or we're in that experience. Right. So you really help people navigate. It's a lot of like what I do with death. It's hard to have a conversation or help people comprehend and understand the peace of mind that comes with exploring all of these things and working with someone with your expertise, with your network, to really comprehend the magnitude of peace that brings to one's experience, being able to explore details that most people don't know how to even look for.
Well, you're absolutely right. And so, what I tell my senior advisors, and I have a team of people that do similar work to what I do. We get paid in two ways. We get paid by the communities that we help find the right connections there, but we also get paid in the fact that we are jumping into what are often difficult situations for family to navigate. And almost 100% of the time, I would say they are extremely grateful and reach out to us and follow up and just say how grateful they are. And of course, you can go to our Google reviews. You can see some of those comments out there. I wish everybody would post those, and of course, it's a struggle because a lot of people just don't know how or don't want to take the initiative. But always get great feedback on our services, and why wouldn't they, right? I mean, we're just doing our best to be sort of an adoptive family member that has the knowledge, right, about the marketplace. So, um, yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, and I would like to open up another door. When at our last networking meeting, you shared how people can maximize their financial resources and use those in ways they might not be aware of, and that's another service that you are connected to and that you offer. So, I would like you to talk a little bit about how, even though there's no cost for your services to the person, even if they don't think that they have the money, and if they don't have the money, they may not understand the value of using or working with you if they don't think that they have the resources. So if someone doesn't think that they have what they need, can you speak into that?
Yeah, obviously we serve everyone, and um, a big part of the population are those folks that don't have anything. They burn through their entire life savings by the time they're, in their mid 80s or 90, and they're like, I don't even know what you can do for me, but I've got maybe 2,000 a month, and I can't really afford senior living because assisted living starts, more like 4,000 and up, and we just encourage them to have a conversation with us because we may learn things in that conversation that they didn't think were really relevant to all of this. So we know what are those Medicaid waiver hurdles, as an example, right? Um, so if they're below a certain tier on monthly income and assets, not including first home and first car and a couple other things, they may be eligible for some additional Medicaid waiver assistance from our federal government, issued out by our state. And so we listen for those things. If that's the case, then we can't help them with placement, but we certainly know what direction to send them based on that information. Another one might be, well, Dad, I often hear this. I ask them if their spouse had served or if they had served, or mom or dad, and they're usually pretty timid about it, and will say, well, yeah, he did, but he only served stateside, and it was only at the end of the Vietnam War. Well, if he served and didn't get dishonorably discharged, whether he's stateside or abroad, he's probably eligible for aid and attendance if he meets those hurdles, the financial hurdles for that. So we really like to listen to those things because there may be opportunities that exist where they think they don't. And by finding those things out, that sort of allows us to kind of put them on the right path. Maybe we can't have that complete financial discussion based on our knowledge base, but we know based on that where to send them. You mentioned an organization that we're connected with. They're actually we are under the Silver Assist umbrella, both of our organization, and it's called Elder Life Financial. And they can help with the aspects of maybe you've got a home that you have to get equity out of and you've got to move into a community. They can help with that bridge loan. There's a number of things that they can do to assist in that process. I mentioned aid and attendance, veterans aid and attendance. They can, so it really helps us to really deeply understand all of the nuances of your financial portfolio.
I love that. So basically, if you're listening to this and watching this and you're not sure, schedule an appointment because there may be a lot of things that you have no idea to even look for that might be discovered, and you might have more than you think you do and access to more options and more choices than you might think. So if you're watching this and you feel stuck or you're not sure, call. It's worth it. You're worth it. The experience itself is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to share right now, or that you can think of that we left out, that would assist people in understanding? And
Boy, I can't think. I think we have really covered an awful lot of material here. There's probably, as I go to bed tonight and I'm laying there at 3 in the morning, I'll think of something. I'll be sure to give you a call, Willow.
Thank you. All right. So to sum up for everyone that's watching, Oasis Senior Advisors and Brian will help you with your spatial needs, financial needs, living needs, and really sit down and figure out what you need for your experience as a whole, and then be able to, and then best advise and assist you in creating the experience that you actually want and support you and your family and with resources, time, energy, and direction on how to maximize your senior and end of life experience. Senior through end of life, I guess. Would that be correct?
You nailed it.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone.
Let's take this show on the road, all right?
Let's do it. I so appreciate this, and I hope everyone watching really takes away all of the value that I did. Thank you so much, Brian. We appreciate you, and I really appreciate all of the things that you do for the seniors and their families. And it's huge what you do and what you offer. And I really hope that more people take advantage of this and learn more. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.